Hey everyone, Dr. Bart here with another simple health tip, and this is all about osteoporosis. What are the causes of it, and what are some of the natural cures of it, and then to kind of put to rest some of the myths that we have about osteoporosis. And I'll start there with the biggest myth that we may have about osteoporosis is that since my mom or my grandma had it, that I'm going to inherit it. And although we do inherit different genes, it's really about what are we doing with our body and our lifestyle that's going to make much more of a difference whether or not you're going to express the osteoporosis. And the good news here is this. If you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis or osteopenia, there's definitely something you can do about it. So just kind of pay attention here and we'll come up with some good natural cures for you. So the number one cause of creating osteoporosis is actually cortisol, I should just say stress, or an overactive adrenal system. And we'll see this often when women enter menopause or they're going through menopause and the ovaries are retiring. When the ovaries retire, they give a lot of the responsibilities up to the adrenals, to your adrenal glands, and the adrenals can't keep up. So they produce a lot of cortisol. And one of the challenges there is that it inhibits the absorption of vitamin D, which is really important for bone matrix, but also it inhibits the ability to build up and hold on to protein, so that's used in the bone as well. So high stress is definitely a big problem when it comes to osteoporosis, and we'll get to some of the cures here in just a moment here. And sugars and grains. And by now you're probably very aware for many reasons why sugar and grains should really just be eliminated out of our diets. And especially if you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis, it's important now that you have come up with a diet that exists with no sugars in it and very, very little grains. And then of course, and what happens with the sugars actually can, not only do they use up, but they can deplete and inhibit the absorption of minerals, things like calcium and iron and zinc and magnesium. So it's so important that we get those out of our diet so we're not blocking the natural sources that we do have come in. And then the third cause, which is one of the things that I see more frequently now in clinic, is that there's different drugs and medications that are also inhibiting our ability to absorb these important minerals like calcium and magnesium. So drugs, probably the most common in this category is going to be things like Nexium and Prilosec and Tums and Rolaids. Those all have a tendency to inhibit your ability to absorb your important minerals. So we got to watch out for extended use of any of those. Okay, so real quickly here, what is bone made of? And this, I think, is where we can make the big changes, and oftentimes it opens up our mind a little bit because we always think of calcium, 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 but really look here, that 1/3 of bone is made up of protein, 1/3 of fat, and then 1/3 of minerals. And then the minerals here, this is where you have calcium. So that's the breakdown of bone. So if we want to make strong bones, this is what we need to focus on: protein, fats, and different minerals. And of course, our minerals come from vegetables. So really, to fix all of our osteoporosis, really we got to fix our diet and make sure we have healthy guts. So here's some of the cures that we have, and I'm going to start with just saying grass-fed beef. Okay, grass-fed, good proteins. Then we'll also butter and eggs. One of the interesting things about butter is that it's got a vitamin there called vitamin K2, and of course we want grass-fed. This vitamin K2 is actually what takes the calcium out of the bloodstream and transfers it into the tissues in the bone. So this is really important, and it's kind of odd because we've been told to avoid things like egg yolks and butter where this really important vitamin K2 is for long periods of time. So bring some of that back into your life on a regular basis, and that's going to help you build good, strong bones. And then bone broth, of course. This is another good popular topic right now, and for a good reason. Bone broth is amazing in helping restore everything from our gut. It's really good for again, making good, strong bones. And maybe you can or cannot do that every day, but maybe this is something you can just start getting into your life on a more frequent basis. And then we, of course, have opportunities with supplements to set a supplement back what we might have lost over the years. And anytime you're trying to restore bone health, don't do all these changes and get retested for your bone density in a month or 90 days. Give it at least a year. You've got to rebuild some bone, and you can, and you will. All right, so supplements. One of my favorite supplements comes from a company called Standard Process called Biost. And this is a bone matrix product. So they just extract the water, but it's basically a bone meal, and then Calcium food. This is a chewable wafer. Again, a bone product that has a good amount of very highly absorbable calcium. So look down at the bottom here. This is the last one I recommend is calcium lactate. On my list of different things, calcium is definitely on there, but it's one of my last. In fact, if you're taking a calcium supplement, go check your cupboard right now, pull out the bottle, and look on the label and see if it says something called calcium carbonate. If it says calcium carbonate, just toss that into the garbage. It takes too much energy to absorb. It's very difficult to absorb, and also can block out the absorption of other minerals. So if you have calcium carbonate, we're just going to toss that and switch up to something like a calcium lactate or calcium citrate better. Cod liver oil. The reason I put cod liver on here because it's a good source of fats, but it also has one of the best sources in nature of giving you some vitamin D. And of course, if you want vitamin D, you just go out in the sun and you can produce it on your own, which is great. And then of course, right below, I have vitamin D2 and, that's vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. So if you're not going to be in the sun and you're not going to eat grass-fed butter, then maybe that supplement would be important for you as well. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Go make some strong bones.